Right, today's lesson we are looking at global patterns and trends in the availability and consumption of land and food. So last lesson we looked at water, this lesson food and land, and this links quite clearly to the increasing size of the global middle class and the fact that as people get wealthier their diets change and the types of food that they eat changes. Okay, first thing I would like you to do is have a look at this video here about diet in Haiti. Haiti is a Caribbean island if you have never, well, it's half of a Caribbean island if you've never come across it before. And then this one, which is about America. Now this one's actually a prank video because it's from The Onion, but it does sort of highlight quite well the discrepancies between the habits and the diets of people in different parts of the world. Now, this map here shows you the proportion of the total world that is given over to different types of land use. So what it's not showing is the fact that South and North America, all they do is grow livestock. It is a proportional representation of how the land is used. So from this you should be able to see that about a quarter of the world's land is used for livestock production. About a quarter of it is forest. About a fifth of it is barren land. And then the smaller ones that we've got left here, so we've got only 7% of the world's land area is used for growing crops. 1% is fresh water. We know that from last lesson. 8% is shrubs, which is small kind of woody vegetation, short, under a metre is how we classify shrubs. Glaciers 10%. Barren land we looked at already. That's it. So that is the land use. I'm surprised by this because I'm surprised by the amount of land that is used for livestock. I don't know why that surprises me, but it does blow my mind a little bit. And I'm also surprised by how little land is used as cropland. I don't know what you think about that. So this graph here shows again how the land use is broken down. Really confusing. So the top line there is 100% of the Earth's surface. We know 7/10 of the Earth's surface is covered by ocean, so that's that 71% over here. And then the other 29% is land, okay? And of that 29%, 71% of it is habitable, 19% is barren, and 10% is glaciers, okay? So of that 71% of habitable land, half of it is used for agriculture. Some of it is used for forests, then you can see shrubs, urban areas and fresh water. Of the land used for agriculture, 77% of that is livestock, 23% is crops. From the crop stuff, as we go down, 83% is plant-based food, okay? And so that is food, calorific supply for global consumption. And then 67% of, hold on, let's go back a bit. So 17% of that is livestock from up here. And then as we go down, we're looking at protein supply. Of that 17%, 33% of that is meat and dairy, and 67% of that is plant-based foods. So lots of people get their protein from plant-based food. That's what that is showing you. It's quite a confusing diagram. It's taken me a little while to muddle through that one. So spend a bit of time kind of working it out and reading all the little bits of info on there. Okay, so this graph shows us from 1960 to 2011 how much land area in the world was used for agriculture. So you can see a very, very steep incline up till about the year 1996, and then we've sort of plateaued out a little bit, and that's largely because we've kind of used it all up. So we've become more intensive in our practices in order to produce more food using the same land area. There's some pretty significant impacts of that in that the more intensively you use the land and the more fertilisers and all that kind of stuff that you use, the land tends to get quite worn out, and the nutrients have all left the soil, and then the soil can't support plants, and the soil becomes eroded because it's not held together by anything, and it all blows away, and then we get desertification. So there's a bit of a depressing story there, but that's largely what is happening in quite a lot of the world where agriculture is unsustainable. Okay, so we can see here, this is a little global map of food insecurity. Probably no surprises here. Low risk areas, North America, Europe and Australasia, Japan as well, and some parts of South America. South America and sort of Western Europe and some of Asia is medium risk, and then our very high risk areas are in Africa, the Middle East, and in Afghanistan is one of the big ones there as well. Probably this is a pattern that you see repeated over and over again in terms of wealth, in terms of food, in terms of water. There are very few surprises to be seen here. Okay, so this graph here shows us the production and the use of some major products. So what are we making and what are we using? So we can see the biggest one here is cereals, so things like wheat, grains, rice. Then we've got oil crops, so things like palm oil, stuff like that. Then we've got sugar cane, sugar beet and all that sort of stuff. Sugar's a big one. And then we have got meat. Okay, the colours show you, the light blue colour is for the production of that item for food, and the dark blue colour is the production of that thing for non-food. So for example, in the oil crops, obviously we've seen a growth in use for biofuels, and the cereals and stuff as well. So in all cases there, obviously you can see a growth from 2005 to 2050, and in some cases quite a big growth. So predictions are that we are going to need to produce more, largely because of this global middle class, but we don't have any more land really on which to do that. So this is a pattern of intensification of agriculture basically. Right, what I would like you to do is open up this article. Basically it's a really lovely set of pictures of what people eat in a week throughout the world. Have a really good look at those pictures and think about how much calorific value is in the food, and think about whether people are eating mainly fresh food or mainly processed food. I really love this thing and I hope you enjoyed looking through it as well, and seeing what all the different people all around the world eat in a normal week. For the rest of the lesson really, what I'd like you to do is listen to this podcast. So it's just, I think it's about 25 minutes long, and just make some notes as you go through. Basically it's titled How Middle Income Countries Became Fat. It's really interesting, I hope you like it. At the bottom there's a link to the transcript, which is a typed up version of everything that's said. So, you know, if you prefer to just listen and then go through and pull out the key bits from the transcript, you might find that a little bit easier, or you might be someone that likes to listen and write at the same time. But have a listen to that, it's very interesting. The things that come after this on the PowerPoint, you'll probably find that you're kind of running out of time for this lesson. So it's up to you if you want to have a look at this. This is National Geographic What the World Eats, is really interesting. So it looks at daily consumption and the sorts of different things that people eat. There's all sorts of information here. Like this is a really interesting infographic about the pork industry in China. And I think if we were in class, I might probably get you to do some infographic questions, because I'm a bit of a psycho for an infographic. But for now, just have a little read through the info there if you want to. No need if you don't want to, it's just there for your information, really. And that's it for today's lesson.